welcome to the show. We are doing an interview with the local wine cellar. Is that what you like to call it, or wine?
It's a winery, yeah.
Winery, full operation, grow and stomp and.
Not quite to that point yet, but we're working on that. So right now because we're brand new, we've been bringing in some bulk wine and doing some blending and putting them together and then putting them in a bottle. And so these all come from Washington, because I love Washington wines and I like the people that I've found and worked with there. But we do have an experimental vineyard in the back.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to bring in some grapes from Washington this fall to start from scratch. But yeah, the experimental vineyard in the back of our property here is, we'll see if that's something that can be productive or not. Like I said, it's experimental, so I don't know at this point.
Nice.
I've been trying to grow grapes now for about 4 years. I finally got a starter that took this year, and I had to build an altar for the grapes to grow up, called the Grape Pergola for my wife. So I'm excited myself about growing grapes.
Yeah, well, American grapes, they're pretty easy to grow around here. It's the European wine grapes that may be a little more sensitive to our winters in particular. So that's kind of the challenge. That's the challenge in Southwest Idaho. It's a challenge in Washington as well. But I mean, we have, I think, a climate that might be able to pull it off in northern Utah. I mean, there's some people in southern Utah that are doing it, but nobody in northern Utah that I'm aware of. So.
Okay, well,
So we'll see.
Steve, Mannebach Cellars. Now, where is this wine available?
Through me,
So they come to Steve.
yes.
So you find him on Facebook, just under Mannebach Cellars, and put in an order.
We have a space at the depots where our winery is
Nice.
located, and so you can set up appointments with us to come and pick it up.
So now back to the grapes. With the, can you insulate the plants during the winter?
So what people in our situation would typically do is bury the growth from that year in the ground. Or mound it with compost and straw, that kind of thing to protect it
Just
from
put
winter kill.
Put an earthen mound or.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and the compost might help feed it for the next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, do you have to unravel it for the spring, or does it?
Yeah. So then you would in say March, early March, pull it up, and then prune it at that point, because it should be pretty safe from 0 degree temperatures that might kill it. So that's kind of the strategy. That's what they do in Southwest Idaho and in Washington, in cold climate, continental type climate growing areas.
Okay.
That's the strategy. So.
All
I'll have
right.
to try that one this year.
All right. Now my sister-in-law is extremely jealous when I told her I'm coming out to a wine bottler tonight because she likes wine. What type of wine do you like to work with?
So far these are all red blends. I am personally a big fan of Petite Syrah. Not everybody is. So that was one of the first, part of the first bottling that we did was a Petite Syrah. It has a little bit of Syrah blended into it. It's a very big, mouth-filling type of wine. So it'll stain your teeth purple. It's got a lot of tannins, a lot of structure. I like that kind of thing. For some people, it's a little over the top, but not for me. And then my other wine that I did at the same time is that one is a cab-based blend. So kind of a Bordeaux style of red wine. So it's also full-bodied red, but kind of toned down from the Petite Syrah.
Okay.
So
Now-
that's it.
I know nothing about wine.
Okay.
I know it comes from grapes.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all.
That's
I
all you
know.
need to know, really.
Yeah. So I'm sure there might be a viewer or listener who may understand what you're talking about, including my sister-in-law. But me, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know what tannins are.
Have you ever had wine, Jared?
I've had wine, yes.
Have you had like coffee or tea
That's
that
a good wine.
leaves like that kind of furriness on your tongue?
Mm-hmm.
That's tannin.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay, is that-
tannin in those things that's doing that.
Have you ever
Okay.
done a wine tasting?
No, I have not.
Because that's interesting because they will teach you, like they will have you taste wines that specifically are very strong in tannins and one that's very strong in sugar, one that's very strong in alcohol, so that you can taste the elements that are in wine, so you can then, I don't know, like educate your palate
Yeah,
to,
I would love to go on a wine tasting, but here in Utah, it's,
they're hard.
It's limited to find, huh?
yeah.
Now, is that like kind of a future vision that you're seeing yourself doing here in Tooele? A wine tasting seminar or
No.
some? No. Fair enough.
That's a totally separate, I mean, we talked about
yeah.
possibly having a tasting room,
Mhm.
but that's a separate license.
Mm.
And,
Ah, the
and
licensing.
it requires
But-
It's a little more
food.
tedious, yeah.
What about with your friends?
Oh yeah, just like a fun get together, talk about wine, that kind of thing.
You don't need a license for that thing.
I don't think
I
you need a
Yeah.
license for friends, and I think,
Well, not yet. Yeah,
Mm.
you never know. That could be coming. That could be coming.
I don't know if you're familiar with our show, but we're
I'm
all
not.
about agorism.
Like agriculture.
You're gonna have to
or-
define
Like
agriculture.
tourism.
Aggravating or?
Agorism, the agora is the Greek shopping
Oh,
center.
okay, yeah.
So we're all about agorism, all about stepping outside of the confines of the state to achieve a better, more fulfilling life.
Bringing your skills to the table without that third party just dipping its hand right in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you can't do that with a wine business, but can you explain the licensing process that you had to go through here in Tooele to actually get something like this off the ground?
How many
And it's
hours?
kind of a blur, but so you have to get your federal permit first. And before you can do any of this stuff, you have to have your space. So you got to acquire your space and start paying rent on your space before you even know you have a viable
And
business.
that's what they call the industrial kitchen inspection, right? Is that what I think you're referring to?
I'm not sure what that is, but I'm talking about literally having your
An
structure
an
where you're going to
address.
make wine.
Yeah,
An address, yeah, physical structure.
Right.
that can't change in the process, so we couldn't have used our home address,
Mhm.
knowing that eventually we'd get warehouse space. We had to have the warehouse.
So you
space.
had to start out, get the federal license in the space, because had you started in your home.
You got to get
went
the
to
space even before the federal license.
Then you'd have to reapply for a new license to move to, okay.
So you don't even know, so you got to dive into this and sign a lease with somebody and start paying on that before you even have a business.
Gotcha.
Then you start applying for your permits. So you apply to the feds for a basic winery permit. Then you got to go through the local shenanigans to get that business approved. And they're going to want to see, your federal permit. They're going to want state stuff before you even have state stuff, because the state people want the local stuff while you're trying to get the state permit. And so it's kind of a nightmare, because you're
It was a fluster.
you're trying to tell these people, I don't have this because they require that I have your permit before they'll give me theirs. So I can't give you what you want until they give me, so it's like all these competing things going on. That's basically what I remember from this process.
We don't want to bring back any PTSD.
Yeah, it's coming. So I have to drink this wine a little faster.
Is there a fetal position?
Push it back down there. Yeah, I'm gonna push it deep.
Oh,
Notice he started sweating.
So that took like 8 months, maybe, I think.
Longer than that.
Well, you're paying on your space.
Yeah.
8 months of
Yeah,
being
it's
able
no
to have the
revenue,
process.
no revenue, nothing. And this is why people go the bulk wine route and
No.
come up,
I've heard about this before. They've got it with beer and whiskey and everything else too.
especially with whiskey.
Yeah, you buy it, you bottle it, and then a lot of people do that to start up.
Yeah.
As they acquire the ability to distill themselves.
Mhm.
Okay.
But in Utah, the laws are a little different.
Well,
So you have to do something to it. So outside of Utah, they can buy bulk wine, put it in a bottle, and slap their label on it and call it theirs.
uh-huh.
In Utah, you have to blend. You have to make your own recipe.
Okay.
So even though we bought bulk wine, he created a recipe with different bulk wines,
Mhm.
and that's what's in these bottles.
So what equipment are you into? Bottling and
Mhm.
corking and then the waxing and
Yeah, so a tank that I put all the barrels into, and then it goes from tank to the bottler. So that's really, and then, right now we're just hand corking stuff. Not really the ideal way to go commercially, but everything's got a price tag on it, and you do it the way you can get away with doing it. So that's really all I have right now. I mean, I have some barrels and a tank, and I'm lucky enough my space is a couple doors down from a forklift repair guy, Tooele Valley
Mhm.
Forklift, I think.
Mhm.
Aaron, super nice guy, recommend him, because he lets me use his forklift whenever I need to.
Oh,
So that would be a
That's
major
convenient.
expense that I don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I can go up, pick
Does
up
he
his
like
forklift,
wine?
drive it down. No.
No.
So, I've offered. So what I do is I lift that tank with the forklift and then just gravity flow to the bottler. And it's a 6-spout bottler, and we just sit there all day,
We
Mm.
record
filling,
friends,
corking.
hand cork every single bottle, hand dip every single bottle.
You switching off
That's-
arms to
Yeah.
make sure you level out?
Yeah,
Don't want
gotta be
any
even,
economic
gotta be even on
injuries. Yeah.
both sides.
You don't want to end up
It
walking
takes
in
both of them.
circles.
It takes like,
Oh, does it?
yeah, it's not just a doot, doot, no, it's a,
It's not.
yes it is. For me it is.
Well, I want to taste it.
Okay, so
And
this,
I want you to explain it to me as I taste. I've smelled it, but let's explain the smell. I'll
Okay.
try my novice explanation first. Okay, it's
It's not too sweet, but it's
You
not
could-
so not so dry that there's an in-between factor on this that seems to sit right with me.
I like the smell of it. I can smell the fermentation. Now I have brewed beer in my life, so I'm familiar with a little bit of that.
Mhm.
But
So this is a really young wine. This is the one we just recently bottled.
okay, now what does it mean by young wine?
It's a 2019, so that's when it was harvested.
Okay,
It was 2019.
okay.
This is a Barbera, which is a grape found in northern Italy, and it's known for getting its structure more from acidity than from tannin.
Okay.
So
Now I've noticed the smell, when you first smell it, hits you hard, but after that you kind of lose sense of smell of it. Like you don't smell it as strong. Could that
And this
be-
one will change because we just bottled it like a month ago, and it's very young. It's 2019. So this one will evolve quite a bit over the next couple of years. I wanted it because I love Italian food, and I wanted a wine that I thought would pair very well with Italian foods, which I think this does. I think that's the acidity on this is very palate cleansing and will make your meal a lot more flavorful when you share this with it.
I could imagine this with a good steak.
Yeah, that too. I mean, grilled meats.
Definitely a pasta wine.
Yeah, thick. I think of creamy pastas when I drink it.
We could even chocolate, maybe like a chocolate and wine kind of. If a wine could go with a chocolate,
Maybe a dark chocolate. Anything kind of sweet will make this taste more bitter, probably.
Yeah, this isn't a sweet wine. This is a, I guess I don't know if I'd call it bitter. It's got a.
It's dry.
Yeah,
it's not so dry that it's. Maybe I'm just used to dry wines.
Maybe I don't know what dry means.
An acidic taste?
Well, maybe a little bit acidic. Not like vinegar, obviously, because I can put this in my mouth and swallow it. But it's got a tart. And I like
Yeah, that's the acidity.
It's the acidity
yeah.
wine.
And that's kind of the backbone of the wine for this one.
Okay, and what was this one called again?
The grape is Barbera. I am probably going to call it Judge Luke Barbera after my great-grandfather, who was a son of Sicilian immigrants.
Oh.
And he was a Superior Court judge in Cook County, Illinois, so Chicago area.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother did a painting of him. Let me grab that real quick because that's going to be on the label.
So yeah, this is so newly bottled, we don't even have the label done yet.
I like your labels too. These are.
That's something else the federal government gets to approve: every letter, size of font, placement.
So somebody is sitting at a desk right now when you send them a label and they.
Yeah, the
Depending
language
on-
has to be a certain way. Of course, you
depending-
have to have the government warning
On
it.
his or her morning, they
It's a
could
lot
come
like
back
that,
and
too.
say,
Yeah.
I see a little too much root on that guy's groin, so do something
Yeah.
else. Well, it's a
Yeah.
famous statue. I don't care.
Or the name Slayer. Oh, that's provocative. I don't like that.
Did you have a provocative label that they rejected or
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying they could in
They could.
theory because it could
Yeah.
come down to the.
They did
the
come back and
whims
say
of the
they wanted
individual.
something changed though. Do you remember? It was like,
It had to do with font size.
Yeah, font size.
and certain
Right.
things.
Seriously?
yeah.
What was the font size? Please tell me.
I'm
when-
sure.
I don't remember. It had to be the font size. I think on the government warning had to be a certain ratio of the font on some other part of the label. I don't remember.
So when you go buy a bottle
I'd
of
go
wine
insane if
and
I
you look at the
I remember
price,
some of this stuff.
just know, like it takes a long time to get that bottle of
Oh,
wine on
yeah.
the shelf, and everything that goes into putting that bottle of wine on the shelf.
Gives you a huge respect for some of these industries that can produce these fantastic wines.
Oh, it just makes me respect the government even more.
Well, it makes us respect the small wineries, right? The big
Yes.
wineries have marketing
Oh,
departments
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you know, have a year in advance, have the labels approved and have it go through the mail. But the small wineries, the mom and pop shops that don't have a marketing department, that have to deal with the same level of bureaucracy
Mm.
that the big wineries do, it's a pain in the ass and it takes a long time.
So anyway,
So let's see.
I wouldn't grab this,
It's
and I don't
funny.
even know if I need it anymore. But
Well, let's see
Um,
the label. Let's definitely.
well, yeah. So anyway, my
Hold it up
grandmother.
so the camera can see.
Yeah, I will. So my grandmother, I don't know when, long time ago. This is my great grandfather. She did this painting of him. He always, all his friends called him Judge Lou. That's just how he was known in Chicago area. And so being the son of Sicilian immigrants, this being an Italian wine, I always wanted a wine that I could put this on as the label. And so I'm going to just call it a Judge Luke Barbera.
Nice.
And this will be essentially the label.
I like ours. Now, are you going to do that black and white like you've done with these others?
No, it's going to be kind of true to the color of
Nice.
this this is of course not the original painting, it's just a print of the original painting, but
Yeah.
so
And
whoever's watching can look for that
now
in a couple months or so, or
your
month.
grandmother painted that?
Yeah, my grandmother.
So apparently she was a good artist as well.
Yes,
That's really, that is, I like
and I'd
it.
like to track down more of her stuff. I mean, she's no longer with us, hasn't been in a long time, but
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to keep the legacy alive, you know, I mean.
I like
yeah,
it.
you know, it's a family winery. I mean, Meredith helps a lot. I'm kind of a one-man show when she's not helping, but
I am the marketing director.
oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Nice title.
No paycheck,
Self-entitled.
no health insurance.
Right. I ask for a raise all the time.
That's how small business operates, I mean, it's.
I give her a raise in percentages, so any percent of 0 is 0. So.
Or negative.
I quit.
You do this out of love, you don't do it for the profit.
I do.
No, this is not my day job, so this is.
We hope to get to a point where
It'd be
this
nice, yeah.
self-sustains itself.
I think you've got something with this wine, this is a good wine.
I like it.
I'm gonna bring it home, I'm gonna buy a bottle and bring
It's
it
not
home
for sale at
and-
this point.
Oh.
Not the labels on it.
When it's for sale, I definitely want to bottle this. Because I want my wife to try it.
Take
Now,
a
my wife is
mouthful.
difficult.
Oh.
Very difficult. So difficult with wine. And I think she will like this.
I like it.
So,
Do you want me to get some water to clean up glasses for the next one?
I don't think we need.
I don't think it'll.
don't worry
Just
about
trying.
it. It's fine, thank you.
I mean, I
Is
hate
she
This
a
is
white
the
wine
Agora.
drinker?
the Agora, yes.
And I'm not exactly that easy with wine either, but this is good. And if this is
Well, thanks, I'm glad you
2019,
liked it. Yeah, it's gonna get better.
if it
It's
gets
gonna get a lot
better,
better.
So as it stays in the bottle, it matures more and more.
Yeah,
And as
it'll
it
get more
matures-
complex, kind of pick
Right.
up more aromas, bottle bouquets, what some people call it, because it's only been in bottle a month. So
Mhm.
a lot of like top tier wineries with Cabernets, they'll wait a full year after they bottle before they'll release the wine.
Mm.
So a lot happens in the bottle after you bottle it.
So as far as age of the plants, does that make a difference in the wine? I've heard that if the plant's older, it changes the wine.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I've never heard that
That-
before.
The only thing
that
I
is
know
a
about
thing.
wine
I mean,
is-
yeah, that's a thing. Like old vines, such
Yeah.
and such, especially in California, like old vines, Zinfandels. People think because the root system under the ground is so expansed after X amount of years that it's pulling from all aspects of the soil, and therefore it's making the grapes more complex, or the wine more complex. And
More minerals.
yeah, and maybe, I don't know. I don't
That's,
know. A lot,
you've heard the
you
limit
hear a
of
lot of
knowledge,
stuff. Yeah, I mean,
and it's not knowledge apparently.
the other thing is they tend to produce a lower crop. So if you have a lower crop on the vine, then that gives those grapes more opportunity to develop and mature, because there's not competition going on with all the other grapes on the vine. Yeah, I mean that's a thing people talk about. I don't really know how to objectify that too much.
Yeah.
As with many things in wine, I mean if you ever want to hear a lot of bullshit, start talking about wine.
The variables are infinite. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of the beauty of it though too, because it makes you want to talk about bullshit. So it's,
Yeah.
Right.
it's fun.
Well, it's
it's a
a
good
More glasses you drink.
it's a good social lubricant.
Yeah, also you're getting a little
That's
numb
true.
while you talk about it, so the bullshit comes a little easier. I liked it. It wasn't, I've had really sweet wines. I don't know if I cared for those that much, but this one was a little more tart,
Mm-hmm.
I guess is the word.
I will have to
Yeah,
say
and
we
it's
have
that
a
acidity in
large
there.
request in this valley for sweet reds, and we don't even know what that really would be. We don't know of any sweet reds.
I've had huckleberry wine, that's super sweet.
Yeah, a fruit wine would probably be like a blackberry or some kind of berry wine, but
Well, anything you leave residual sugar behind in is going to be sweet. So
yeah, there's dessert wines that can, I guess, a port.
I know a Merlot is too sweet for me. Usually Merlots are too sweet for me. But
Well, you should-
Portos. I'll like do the. My wife has introduced me to the Portuguese wines, and I've taken pretty fondly to those.
So this is the petite Syrah.
So a petite.
So this is kind of the other end of the spectrum from what you just had.
This is gonna be super dry, big
Okay.
and bold.
Super dry,
Well,
big and bold.
I don't know. We'll see what.
This one has a lot more purple color to it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot darker. The other one you could get some light through. It smells wonderful.
So it's a lot more grippy
Mm-hmm.
than the other one. That's the tannin.
It doesn't have as much tart to it, but the tannin is
No. Right.
is kind of, it feels like there is a film on my tongue, I guess, or
Like a fizz.
Like that drying
Yeah.
kind of fuzz thing.
I feel it.
So that's where the structure of this one is coming more from the tannin, whereas the structure from this one was coming more from the acid.
Okay.
So it's kind of the backbone of a wine is going to be pretty much either tannin or acid or both,
Or sugar.
and that's what's really going to give it its structure backbone to it.
Yeah, this one doesn't have as much tart. It's really a more subdued tart to it, but you know, it's still a little bit there. When you first
Yeah,
take it
it's
in your
not
mouth, you
closed
feel
up
like
right
you
now.
can chew on it a little bit.
And then, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Did you-
And this is
And the inspiration for the label for this one.
Well, so that was a friend of ours helped us with these labels that does this for a living.
Okay.
So that is Francois Dreyf on the front of the label, and that's just the guy that came up with Petite Syrah when he was trying to find a way to deal with powdery mildew in France in the vineyards, and so he crossed Syrah with Pellerson, these two different grapes, and what came of it was Petite Syrah. So that's the guy that did that, and so the idea for that came from the guy that was helping us with these labels. He liked it, and so I just said okay. That's
what we
fine.
were
So
It works.
yeah,
it's a good looking label though.
yeah.
Got the gentleman on it, looks quite noble.
Now, how do you get them on so centered and even?
I have this little machine. It's a hand crank, and so it just rolls these.
Rolls them right on precisely.
Rolls them on, and then I have to like adjust the bottle a little bit to get the back label on, and then roll it. And so some of them are completely screwed up, where these are like almost touching, or I didn't turn it quite enough to get it.
So you can see the
Dialed in.
imperfections yourself. Probably someone like me
Yeah,
wouldn't, but
Each bottle
Yeah.
is made with love.
I bet.
it's all hand done.
If I was to buy a bottle, I'd have to buy two, because one of them, especially because it's local, I would want to not open and just display. Just, just say this is local wine and have it displayed.
So is business booming? How's the demand?
It's, I wouldn't say it's booming. I've been able to pay the rent
Mhm.
with it.
Good.
That's about it.
That's a positive thing.
Yeah, so I'm not pulling out of my personal finances at this point or anymore
To pay the rent.
to pay the rent. But
You're still looking for an hourly wage.
yeah, I mean, I need more stuff to bring in grapes. There's some more things I need in the winery to deal with that, and then just the cost of bringing in, whether it's grapes or wine, and to bring it in at the volume that's worthwhile for turning around and selling it gets pretty expensive. So yeah, I don't even know if I could say I'm breaking even at this point, because I'm just paying the rent, but then I'm not necessarily
Growing.
having extra funds to go back and get more wine or grapes or whatever.
And of course, you're pouring your time into it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
So
most
we dip into our
valuable
personal
resource.
funds to go do the next bottling, and then hopefully we'll recoup that.
Yeah.
So when you get a wine shipment in, how much comes in a shipment? How do they get it to you? Is it FedEx and they back in your driveway and hide it behind the plant or?
no. So what happens is,
Amazon?
so how we originally did this with this first bottling of the Slayer and the Petit Syrah is, I reached out to some wineries in Washington, and there was one in particular that I wanted to go and visit, and he was very open to letting us come and visit and go and do barrel tastings and hang out, and he was extremely helpful, really good guy. Scott Williams out of Kiona
Sounds like a bit of a
Vineyards.
vacation to get to go do some barrel tastings if you're a,
Yeah,
if you're a
yeah.
wine
I
person.
mean, it's a perk. Yeah.
All the sacrifices I must do for the business
Yeah.
today.
It was fun. It was a little weekend away.
So we tasted a bunch of stuff, and I started getting an idea of what I liked and the kinds of wines I wanted to put together. So then I asked him to send me some samples. So he sent me a bunch of samples of Syrah and Petit Syrah and Cabernet and Zinfandel. And so then I sat at this table and started playing with it until I came up with the blends I wanted. And I ended up with 2 wines rather than 1. But so I got these. And then, so I said, okay, this is what I like. This is what I'd like to do. I want this volume of these wines to do this. And so he sent me the stuff in barrel, and then, like I said, I move it from barrel to tank, and then tank to bottling. And so this first go around, I reached out to a shipping company, and so he loaded up the barrels on the semi. And
How many
sent it here.
barrels did you have?
4 barrels total, which
Okay,
is
how much-
240 gallons.
Okay, 240 gallons.
Yeah, split between these 2 wines. So
That's a lot of bottles.
yeah, so after bottling, it's anywhere from about 45 to 50 cases
How many
per
bottles in a case?
12.
It's a lot of
Um,
stickers. It's a lot of.
That's a lot of
lot of
pulling
wax.
back.
A lot of wax. A lot of,
Every single bottle is hand dipped twice in wax.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm gonna do that on this
Yeah,
next
no,
go
we're not
around.
gonna do that.
Okay, so anyway, on this next go around, so I was searching out a Barbera, and I was first looking for Barbera grapes, and I've had Barberas from Washington that I really like, and so I wanted to stick with Washington. So I started reaching out to people, and this one guy said, I don't have any grapes. Actually, pretty much everybody I was reaching out to is like, well, we don't have grapes. We're not gonna have grapes this next year for Barbera, or at least available for me anyway. And so then this guy said, I don't have any, I'm not gonna have any grapes available, but I do have some Barbera in barrel if you're interested. So I'm like, yeah, can you send me a sample of your Barbera and something that I could blend with it? Because Utah, as far as I understand in my conversations with these guys at the DABC, is they want you to do something. You can't just buy a wine from somebody else and go ahead and bottle it. You have to do something to it before you bottle it.
You gotta give your own
No.
personality to it.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
called,
whatever.
now it's called a white label when you receive it and then rebottle it, right? Or am I know that,
I don't know.
I think that's
I don't
what
know.
they call it in the whiskey.
Could be.
So it might be the same
Could be.
thing, they call it a white label operation, which means you receive it and rebottle it, but in Utah, you have to make your own blend.
Mm.
You have to do something, yeah.
With wine, anyway, this is my understanding.
Can you just say you did a prayer over it and rebottle it?
I could try.
Well, and
I mean, my goal was to bring in like premium wine. I did not want, because if this whole thing fails, I'm stuck with a lot of wine that I can do nothing with but drink. So I better like it. So I'm bottling wine that I really like, and I don't really. I mean, I care what other people think or want, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily going to make any of my decisions based off of that.
yeah,
Really, I'm going to make them based off of what I like, because the market's always going to change. The trends change all the time. There was that movie Sideways that came out that trashed Merlot and put Pinot Noir on a pedestal. Next thing you know, Pinot Noir sales went through the roof and Merlot basically crashed.
I tried watching that movie once.
And so, I mean, that's the kind of influence there is out there on people's tastes, which to me is kind of an absurdity. You should know what you like
Yeah.
without being told what you like.
The human is a very programmable animal.
Yeah.
I've noticed that throughout my life.
I do like,
That's why brainwashing works.
And a lot of people like sugar, right? A lot of people like sweet things, and so we get a lot of requests for sweet reds, but Steve doesn't like sweet wine, so we probably won't ever
I don't
produce a sweet
Yeah.
wine.
I don't know,
Red or
sweet and
white.
wine just does not go together for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
I mean, it has its place in certain contexts, but as a general rule, I don't really want to sit down with the sweet wine.
If you want
It's
candy,
gonna
go to
make
the
me feel
candy
like
shop.
crap in the end. So,
Hangover.
I like it. I like that you could taste, you could imagine what you were eating with it as you drank it.
mhm.
And of course I pictured steak because, you know, I'm only, 2 generations past 8, but that's what I tasted with it.
This is fettuccine Alfredo wine. Definitely.
Is there steak in this fettuccine Alfredo?
Next to the fettuccine.
Maybe
Side dish to
craving
a steak.
fettuccine Alfredo. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to try a piece of the sourdough that is made out here
Yeah,
as well
you
by your
should.
wife.
So do you have the name for the sourdough? Have you stamped it or approved it and
And you
Or
made
the labels?
Erda sourdough.
Erda sourdough.
It's Erda sourdough. Because I created the
Literally.
starter. I did not buy the starter from anyone. I made the starter. It's young. It's super young. It is my COVID project,
COVID sourdough.
how to make sourdough.
Mm.
It was quite the scientific project, just like his wine.
Do you put him to work on your sourdough?
No, he can't touch it. He tried once and
Not skilled.
didn't try.
it's very good. It's got a taint to it.
Mhm.
Thank
I
you.
like that. Normally it's
But not too much of it.
not as much of it. I like it.
It's like a normal,
I love a tang.
but too much tang, I think, is an artifact of like industrial sourdough. Like real sourdough isn't really super tangy. Do you think? You're kind of the sourdough expert, so I'm just
If you
throwing
leave
that
it,
out there.
if you leave it in the refrigerator for too long, it's gonna ting like crazy,
Really?
and that means it's too tangy.
Mm.
But there, you know, you just
Then
gotta
you're
find
under
that
the
right
time.
amount. You gotta find that right amount of ting that
Mhm.
sets the palate right. Everybody can be a little different,
I
but
can imagine eating this.
This
with
is good.
Ribeye,
you definitely perfect medium
medium
rare.
rare.
You're hungry, aren't you?
There's some Bob in the freezer for you.
So anyway, the Slayer, I don't even know what I was talking about before.
Well, you never answered how the so the first one got shipped to us in barrels. The
Yeah,
second one
Oh,
we went up
yeah.
and we picked up.
you went and picked up?
So the Barbera is 90% Barbera with 10% Sangiovese. So it's 100% Italian in that regard. And then we went and picked up, so there's only 45 cases of this that's going to be available
So you only had
in about a
one barrel.
month.
Save one for me.
That's 2 barrels.
That's 2 barrels. How much does a barrel weigh?
Full
Yeah.
barrel weighs probably about 500 pounds.
Okay.
So we went, this is from Walla Walla. These are from Red Mountain growing region in Washington, which is the Tri-City area, like Richmond?
Richmond.
Richmond.
Washington? Is it Richmond?
Yes,
Why are you doing that?
because you're dancing
They-
like
well,
around.
they can edit
your
this out.
story. It's fine.
Well, they're 2 different growing regions, though. So these are from Red Mountain. This is from Walla Walla, Washington. We went to Walla Walla to pick this up from Sabaya's Cellars in Walla Walla, and we were gonna make a weekend of it, and they were completely shut down due to COVID.
Mm.
So we got there, got our hotel, got up the next day and like decided it's not worth hanging around, so let's just get the wine and get out of here. So then that afternoon we picked up the wine with a truck and then drove back here.
Mm.
So it was like almost a 24-hour
Just
turnaround.
That's
on that.
dedication.
take a nap, turn
Yeah.
around, come
Yes.
back.
Because it's, what is it, like 9 hours or so to Walla Walla? It's about 9 hours one way.
Mm.
That's how we got that one.
There wasn't anything to do.
Um,
Kind of have to weigh the cost benefit. I mean, it's expensive to ship here. That's another cost.
Oh, I
Huge
imagine.
cost versus driving, but then you have to have a truck that can hold it. You know, we had to borrow a truck from a friend. And we're
Now you brought 2 barrels back,
in
1,000 pounds,
the bed of the truck.
which meets the limits of a half-ton truck right there.
mhm,
And then you're grabbing cotton the whole way because your profits are riding behind you.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas semi has an insurance plan with it where your profits aren't grabbing cotton then. So that's a substantial.
But significantly cheaper getting it ourselves. I mean, we want our next wine we're looking at doing is a white.
Oh,
Yes. And we've talked about how do we do that because now it's hot.
are you gonna get the white from Washington as well?
Yeah, actually from both of these wineries.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully, if
Now
they
what
still
are,
have it by
what are
the
the
time I
white
maybe get
names?
it.
The white name is going to be
The
the
grapes?
grape.
Yeah, see, I don't know. My sister-in-law likes Pinot Grigio.
Grigio, Pinot Grigio,
Yeah, that's the type of wine she likes.
Mhm.
And that's a white wine, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen it. I think I tasted it once.
I think Patricia likes that.
It's nice. It's just a very nice.
So this one, this white that we're hoping to do, if they still have it when we're able to finally pick it up, is a blend of, it's predominantly a blend of Chardonnays that were fermented in 3 different styles. So one was fermented in stainless steel, one in oak barrel, and another in clay amphora. So even though it's like the same vintage, same grape,
totally
they all
different taste.
came across
Different.
completely different,
Why
just by
not?
being fermented in 3 different vessels.
Different element.
Yeah.
The steel.
And so we put together a blend of those 3 that I really liked. But then the guy that I bought this Barbera from, he had some Viognier, which is another white, that we really liked, but it felt like it needed to be blended to be softened to some extent. So we think we may do like this blend of Chardonnay and take this Viognier, put them together and see what we got. Hopefully, I mean, we'd like to do that as soon as possible, but when it's this hot and you're transporting wine in barrel, exposing it to this heat, it could expand and
You could
Really?
be
pop the bungs off the barrels and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
spilling wine all the way, and it's
Oh,
just not good.
yeah.
It's not good for the wine,
And we haven't figured out how to get a refrigerated truck. So we're like, do we go up and then drive back in the middle of the night when it's
Buy a lot
cold?
of ice on the way.
Buy a lot of dry
Yeah.
ice, pack
But you
a truck.
probably don't wanna keep it too cold either, do you, or would that hurt it? Would that change it?
it wouldn't permanently change. I mean, we wouldn't be able to get it too cold. I mean, this stuff in barrel rooms typically sit around 55, 58
Oh, okay,
degrees or whatever.
So you could probably get a truck with an inverter, throw a regular AC unit in that on a shelf.
Cost,
We might be
cost,
calling you.
cost.
if you know how to do that. so-
Dry ice.
Oh, fixing that
It
stuff.
can happen.
That's the easy part. I mean, just throw a house AC. You may end up building your own equipment to haul it.
You're gonna own
Yeah.
a truck when you're done with this.
What's
You're
that?
gonna- You're gonna own your own transportation business when you're done with this, probably.
He already wants a new
It's
truck.
a logistical.
There you go, tax write-off.
Oh, there you go. Giving him ideas.
That's fine.
He's already said
Do
that.
it.
I said that.
Now, I'm impressed. So
I like it.
this is happening here in Tooele County,
Yes.
and that's what we're all about, is finding these local businesses that are trying to like break through the barrier
Mhm.
of just trying to make it and get larger and introduce their product on the market. Can you get this into the state-owned liquor stores? Is
I
it
don't know
possible?
why I would, because so their concession to me is that they will only deduct like 45% off of my price for this wine to buy it from me, and then they'll mark it back up to that.
Yeah.
So I set a price with the DABC, and that's fixed. And so I act as an agent of the DABC whenever I sell this to somebody.
You're a
And,
G-man now.
Again,
and if
a
they buy
separate
it,
license.
if they buy it from me, they have to buy it at a cost that they can then mark up 45%. I think it's 45, something like that.
67.
That would match what I'm selling it for. So I have to sell it to them at a 45% discount.
What about getting it
So why would I?
into just the brewery down there? They've got beer down there.
Bonneville?
Well, we can.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
can buy it from me.
Yeah,
That'd
he-
be-
They can buy it from me.
That'd
He has
be
a
neat to get
license
it in
that-
there because they serve food.
Yeah.
I know they serve a fettuccine alfredo and steak for,
At
and a
Bonneville?
burger.
for the men. I'm sure they do.
Yeah, we can sell to restaurants. So
See,
that,
now that
again, a separate license, just so
You gotta
everybody's
get
aware.
another one.
It's like a license.
No. I could just sell it to a restaurant.
No, but
There you go.
license to
Yeah.
manufacture, license to sell. Those
Yeah,
are separate
Packaging
licenses.
Oh, you
license
have to get-
versus
Yeah.
manufacturing license.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have that.
I know, that's what I'm
So
saying,
what-
but I'm just clarifying that those were each different
Yeah.
licenses. It wasn't just a
Mhm.
package license that once we made this, we could then also sell it. We had to go after 2 different licenses.
Right.
Now I do like this Slayer bottle. That's my favorite bottle. That's David on the
Yes, that's Bernini's.
David
David,
holding his sling.
And that is a statue we saw in the Borghese Gallery in Rome a couple
Mhm.
years back. And if you ever get the chance, if you're ever in Rome, go to the Borghese Gallery. It's just breathtaking, the artwork in there. And so saw that, and the first, term that came to mind was Slayer. And I'm like, oh, that's a kick-ass wine name, Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make a label and call it Slayer, and that's gonna be on it.
Sounds
And that was long before I ever had a wine, or
So
anything.
that's-
So
That might be kind of the genesis in a weird way, a little seed.
yeah, maybe not to the winery itself, because I think were we already in the permitting process when we were in Rome? Yeah, so we were already kind of down that road. But yeah, I didn't have any labels in mind or anything. But always kind of on the lookout. So
You didn't know about the official Department of Labeling
I knew it existed.
But all foods have a label requirement. I go through the same thing with chocolate, and they have specific fonts.
Do you make
size.
chocolate?
I do make my own chocolate.
And you
It's
didn't bring it
I didn't because I stopped. Okay, so the
Oh,
truth
here I
is,
am pouring wine for
We
you.
went and slide out of the way.
what I did is
This is-
I stopped participating in the marketplace. So I no longer do the licensing. I no longer do the kitchen, the health inspections. I just make my chocolate. So it's more of a word of mouth hobby than a business.
Gotcha.
Because I full respect to you guys for doing what you do. You go
Again.
through the process.
You can bring friends together to try chocolate as well as wine.
Yeah.
And
I think this, the
Chocolate,
Petite Syrah,
sourdough,
the dark
and
chocolate.
cheese.
I make bad jokes.
I do.
I will bring my
Repertoire.
my repertoire to the table when you bring your chocolate and we do some wine tasting. I'll tell a bad joke or two,
I only make one batch a year,
and then
which
I'll
is in
stumble
December.
out of the building.
November, December, I'll make a batch. They're like Utah shaped chocolate bars with almond butter inside. But I also, for weddings and businesses and like business cards, I'll make your chocolate bar in the shape of your business card or your wedding logo. So it's
So you just ask for a donation, or?
Dave, my business card weighs about 20 pounds and it's paper. How does that work out with chocolate?
expensive, especially the way chocolate's going around the world today. But yeah, it is what it is. I did want to go all the way and do what you're doing and be a profitable business in Tooele, but when I wanted to put alcohol in my chocolate, they said I needed a license to do that, and I don't know, that rebellious feeling inside of me just said, this is too much.
F you.
Yeah, F you.
Liquor license
A liquor license.
to cook with liquor.
Well, you're basically pouring rum into. Is this what you were gonna do, like
Mhm.
a rum ball thing?
Some of rum into the chocolate, the rest in
And there's only so much you can do as a small business owner to
Right.
make it in the marketplace. At some
Yeah.
point, you're just like, I'll just work for somebody
Yeah.
and do
Yeah.
the least amount of possible effort to exist. And that's what seems what the government almost wants from us, and then let the big Amazon type businesses take over.
Take over. Because at some point you can't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
You can't pay. So, case in point, we cannot ship in the state of Utah, even though we are a winery.
So you could ship stuff out of Utah.
So that's the next step, is every state we want to ship to, we have to then get a license with that state. So we are licensed to ship to Wisconsin, but every state sets their price.
Wisconsin
and their
is
process.
a pretty good drinking
Where he's from.
state.
That's where I'm from. So some family and some friends.
Of course.
there. So
I don't
I have
know
a
whether-
direct for your Wisconsin listeners.
I don't know whether wine is their thing when they're making and drinking Milwaukee's best. Oh,
But we can
Old
ship.
Swill.
We can ship direct to
Old Mill.
consumer in Wisconsin. Direct to someone's home. in
Oh yeah,
Wisconsin.
that's the permit I got. And then I'm working on an Illinois direct-to-consumer permit, and I'm hoping I can turn those into my biggest markets, actually, because bottle I sell here, I owe the DABC 16% on top of sales tax. So I got to pay the DABC another 16% on top of sales tax for everything I sell.
So if there was a political party that said, you know, that the DABC is just way overstepping their bounds and should go away, you'd probably support that, wouldn't you?
For the most part, as long as they weren't the devil in respect to everything else, yeah.
Okay.
We looked at one candidate who happened to have been the governor before, who loosened the liquor laws while he was in,
Yeah, talking Huntsman.
I
No.
didn't say name.
Well, he was the governor before.
She was.
Huntsman did move
She
towards.
was. Yeah.
I'm just saying we looked at him, I didn't say anything about voting.
No, that's one thing I liked about him.
Yeah, and I don't even know where any of the governors or politicians at this point stand on that. It's not a question that's
I think it's
getting
all-
asked enough. I don't.
We don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
We ask that question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did you listen to the last legislative session and the wine club bill?
I have not heard of this one, no.
It
No.
was last session.
Okay.
It passed. It was ridiculous.
What is a wine club bill?
So you can sign
And
up
who
for.
is the asshat who introduced that?
Because we need a wine club bill, right? I mean, we just need that.
Jesus Christ.
Well, so you know you weren't allowed to sign up for wine clubs, right? In the state, like those monthly subscriptions. So someone proposed this, and it started out where it would be just like a normal wine club. You could actually have it shipped to your home.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got before the legislature, and it is the most ridiculous thing in the world. And now DABC controls it. And the DABC director of the program stood, and you can listen to his testimony before the legislature, and said it was his job to moderate how much people drink in the state of Utah.
I'm
So-
inviting that son of a bitch over to my house to watch me drink.
So
Maybe we should have him on the show.
maybe.
I'm so
Really?
sorry that you guys have to go
Do
through
you want to
this.
put me and him in the
this.
same room?
Yeah, so you now have to pay the wine club fees and pay DABC and get shipped to them, and then they
It's-
will deliver it to your home.
It's a
It's a mafia, is what it is. It's a mafia extortion operation.
Christ. No, the mafia would at
Well,
least
it's
respect you when they're done.
socialism, which
Yeah.
which drives me nuts because this state pretends. I don't know. Are we gonna edit this stuff?
No,
It's
man, just
all
let
this
her watch.
right?
Who watches this?
This is therapeutic, believe
You
me.
haven't seen some of the stuff I've said on this show. You can't go as far as I've gone.
Well,
Yeah,
state
don't
controlled liquor is a socialist principle.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is.
fundamentally,
It is a socialist liquor store.
and yet they want to say
Prohibition.
they're
Oh.
all-in Republican capitalists,
Oh, yeah.
but they're not. In reality, they're a big government.
Yeah.
Republicans are
Entity.
protectionists. They're not free capitalists. Protectionists are, you know, we have our boys, we have our industries, and we protect them.
Yeah, they're
Well, that's crony capitalism.
Republicans.
I try to give it a nicer name.
Republicans are progressives driving the speed limit, as Michael Malice says. They're still progressives. They're just going a little slower than the commies. I mean, the Democrats are.
But it's so interesting to hear about the liquor law obstacles that you have to go through. And I'm sorry to say that it's interesting to hear. But it is. It's fascinating to hear. And you're still willing to do it.
Well, for now, I mean,
Because you have the passion
I'm up
to do
at
it.
night every night
Yeah.
thinking,
Well, what else is he
is
gonna
this
do?
worth it? Is this
You get a 54 Plymouth, hot rod the engine out, boost the suspension, start driving the back roads, or do you get a
A license?
License to sell wine?
I mean, otherwise you gotta become a bootlegger and deliver it in mason jars and shit.
There's been many, many a times
Yeah.
he said, this isn't worth it, I'm quitting, I'm done.
I don't blame you. I really don't. I understand completely because that's exactly what I did. I mean, I still do it, just under the table. But I mean, it's so
But
frustrating.
it'd
to
be
see.
different if you had, where this is wine he has to have it brought here, so there's a trackable record, you know. Can I have another glass?
Of course. Which one?
You know, I'm gonna have to have 2 glasses, cause
So one of each.
I've gotta
Do you want to go?
do it, let's do them reverse this time. Let's
This is
go
the
with
first
one
time I've
with
ever
the
seen
more-
him drink wine.
That's a
I've
good
probably
sign.
drank wine 5 or 6 times in my whole life. I drink a lot of beer and a little bit of whiskey and
Oh, you drink a lot of whiskey. Come on, I bring that over.
We're whiskey drinkers. We love whiskey.
Mhm.
And he started brewing beer a long time ago.
Before ever doing this. But.
Yeah.
So my undergrad is, we never really got into any back.
Yeah.
But my undergrad is in microbiology, and so with that,
that's what my brother wants to go
like
to.
the only interesting thing you can do with microbiology is ferment sugar and make alcohol.
That's
So-
what my brother wants to do. He wants to go to school, get his microbiology degree, and start a brewery.
There's actually
There you
brew programs. Did you know that?
He just retired from the army.
Oh.
He's, I don't know,
Is it this one you
39.
wanted?
Yeah. You
Did
know,
it matter?
you could put it in either order. I'll judge him as, you know. hey,
So are you allowed to talk about what you do with that degree on the outside, other than wine?
I don't do. So that was kind of the fulfilling thing about this, is that I never really did anything with that microbiology degree. So I did that back in Wisconsin, and then decided I want to live in the mountains, so I moved out here and skied a whole bunch.
Now I know they hunt in Wisconsin, right?
Yes.
Okay,
And then when I moved out here, I went back to school for a graduate degree in exercise physiology. And so while I was doing that, I took a job at the university hospital in a lab there, in the pulmonary lab, and that's where I've been essentially ever since, in various roles in this pulmonary lab at the hospital. So never really used the microbiology degree until I got into doing this stuff. But that was kind of a satisfying side of it. Like, okay, that wasn't an entire waste of time doing that. Now I'm actually, and the nice thing is I can read the trade journals and the research in winemaking, like the biochemistry side of things, and I get it because I kind of speak the language. So I can handle the learning curve of it all. So that's what I do with my microbiology degree now, is this.
I hear that's like a big draw is for making alcohol. A lot of people go into microbiology.
You make sourdough, you make
Yeah.
wine, or you work at Dubway, one or the other, with a bio degree around here.
Yeah, around here.
Well.
But the wine is good, man. I definitely. give
Now
it
this
props.
is the first
Thanks.
one again, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So it's
I
going
was
to go
gonna
back to
say,
being a little more tart.
This was more tart, but it didn't leave the tannins on
Correct.
my tongue.
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
And they call them tannins. Is that like in a?
the one you can't buy is
Yeah,
the
it's
one
just
that you,
the-
of
this is
course,
what they
you
are,
want,
but-
right?
Are they?
Well, that's what their name
Is it an
is.
actual
What they-
particle inside the
Yeah.
liquid?
It comes
Yeah.
from the skins.
Oh.
The skins and the seeds, like in tea, when you taste that, it comes from the leaf.
Coffee.
Tanning,
beans.
like tanning leather.
Leather.
Mm-hmm. Now that
Those
I
are
do.
tannins, yeah. So
Okay.
they bring color and they bring that mouthfeel.
And I'm telling you, if you can get this on the market, this will sell big. This is good. This is a
Well,
good one.
If we can get it on the market, it will be on the market.
The
It's
thing
easy
I
to
like
look
is
for.
this is Utah. This is Tooele. You know. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of
if
people
you-
are like, Tooele? There's a winery in Tooele?
yeah. Well, that's what I said when you told me we're going to talk to a winery. I'm like, a what? A winery. So I'm picturing we're going to go out to a warehouse and everything else. I'm wondering, do I want to bring the whole setup so that, you know, I've got a microphone set up so we can stretch wires and whatever else. And he showed me the address. I'm like, I've been on that road. There's just houses there and maybe a barn. Is he in a barn? This is what's running through my mind.
So our actual winery is out at the depot,
Okay.
and we are just one of the spaces out there. So people think we have to
Well-
manage expectations. They think they're gonna come and see a barrel-filled room, with candlelight and, glasses on the,
Yeah, it's,
Instead
it's
you've
not
got-
Napa Valley.
It's
Instead
not
you've
Napa
got
Valley.
some suffering people.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
literally a
She's
cement
like giving him
floor
the stink
four
eye. She
walls.
calls it.
and some halogen lights and a big tank. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
People last Saturday brought some friends, and they're like, "We want to do a wine tour, your winery tour." And like, you literally walk in the door, take 3 steps, and there's your tour.
And we're done.
It's
Drink
a
up, drink up.
big
Come on.
warehouse.
The good news is the wine doesn't care.
No, it does
Yeah.
No, it
not.
doesn't.
And
And those are good locations. They're not too expensive. They're
Yeah.
big. They're, part of Tooele. You're keeping it in the Tooele County. And I really hope,
I'll bet you didn't
if the
think they were
commissioners
not
are
too
watching-
expensive before you were putting the wine out, though.
What's that?
I'll bet you didn't think they were not too expensive before the wine was going out the door.
Amen. Yes. Every
Okay.
time he wrote the rent check,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Before the wine was going out,
Oh, yeah.
I'll bet that was rough.
almost a year.
Oh,
It's
a year
scary.
of writing checks without
It's-
being able to produce. Could you
It's
imagine?
scary.
Yeah, that would definitely scare me.
so I guess in Utah, the moral of the story is you better have some intestinal fortitude or go into a business where the government doesn't care, which would be,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, silly things like when we were trying to get our license, City came out and wanted him to put in a grease trap in the winery.
give me a minute.
Because there's a lot of grease in the winery, or I mean, like,
No, because of the waste and the
They
you
didn't
know the
want
yeast and the
that in the sewer.
All the stuff,
etc.
all the
Okay.
stuff you're buying that you're gonna just pour down the drain.
Yeah, but well, I mean, if I'm when I'm making, with grapes, I'm gonna have all that waste. There's gonna be the lees, which is like all the dead yeast and grape material and stuff. So their concern, and justifiably so, is how are you gonna dispose of this? What's it gonna do to our water system? Because there is a heavy biooxidative demand associated with breaking down this material.
Mhm.
But my answer to that is I live on a small farm and I'm composting everything. So
And
that's
another
good compost.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
that's
That's another good
Yeah.
point, especially once you start growing your own grapes.
our soil is very alkaline here,
Mhm.
and I won't waste one day of coffee grounds. I throw that right on my lawn, and I say, there we go. Because anything acidic, I mean, it helps the soil here. It's a
Yeah.
blessing, really.
well, and there's some evidence to suggest that grapevines really like alkaline soils, or the grapes themselves tend to retain more of their acidity in alkaline soils.
So this might be a,
So
might be the
it,
spot.
it
Now, if I
may
remember-
work out.
Erda means good dirt. If
Does
I
it?
remember.
Does it really?
That's what I've
Is
heard.
it? It's
That's
not
irony.
good dirt.
Because for anything else, it sucks.
It is
But
the worst
but
soil
for
on
grapes,
the
it
planet.
may end up being ideal.
We'll find out. I mean,
Yeah, we'll find out. It
Of
remains
course,
to be seen.
Erda is technically on that side. This would be north, kind of Pine Canyon-ish. Maybe not. I don't know. And then you've got Lincoln. If you look at the old town records,
Mm.
I've never looked at Old Town Records. So.
if you get
If
the
you look
chance,
at Old Town Records, I actually think of this is Lincoln. If you look up like on Google Maps,
Lincoln,
still
it might be.
it shows. Because I
But-
saw that. I don't know.
But if you get the chance, go through the Daughters of the Pioneer Museum. It's down by the laundromat there off of Vine. It's on that side.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And if you get the chance, if you see someone there, just ask them, can I walk through? And they've got some pretty interesting maps and like models of old Tooele.
And his father's a historian out there. in Greece.
Yeah, if you want to go to the Donna Reed Museum in
I would.
Grantsville.
Oh, I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
You want to
yes.
go to it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
He does. We
I'll
love
call the
wine.
guy. You could go tonight if you want.
Well, I don't want
He'd be
to.
so
You call-
excited.
You call my dad, he will jump at the chance to take you down there.
Oh my gosh, we would love
Because
that.
aren't there like old Donner encampments or something up in these hills?
Well, they rode through Hastings, or they went through Hastings Cutoff, which goes over the Cedars. So they went out around the north of Tempe there, and then come down towards Horseshoe, cut across, and went over Hastings Cutoff, and then shot out to Pilot. I mean, he can take you out there too, but if you want to go through the museum, he's got the key.
I do. I want to.
Yeah.
You want to do that tomorrow or whenever, I'll give you the number, and my dad will jump out of his skin to take you through it. And he has a whole spiel, he tells you all about it,
It's awesome.
and he does a great job. That's gonna be another one of our shows we're gonna.
I was going to ask, has he been on your show yet?
Not
My
yet.
dad had
Not yet.
was a history buff, had a master's in history. And he loved that stuff.
My dad has a master's and he likes to talk.
That's awesome.
And
And as a
This-
teenager, I would have rather put needles in my eyeballs than listen to my dad on our trips.
yeah,
Because we stopped at every single mile marker or a little pile of stone that had something to do with pioneers coming across the West.
mm-hmm.
Didn't listen to a word. Now I would give my 2 front teeth to have
Yeah.
his stories
Well, you
and
can-
his knowledge.
You can watch my dad on KBYU's channel about the Donner Party
Oh, that's
excursion.
awesome.
He's on there if you look it up on YouTube.
That's awesome. I taught 4th grade and it's all about Utah
Really?
history.
Yeah. Did you cover the Donner Reed much?
Yeah.
Because I met some people from New York, 2 teachers, one a history teacher, one a math teacher. I said, have you guys heard of the Donner Reed? My dad run the what? All right, never mind.
You gotta explain the scenario. They probably don't know the
You know,
names.
cannibals, humma.
Right, no,
Yeah.
because 4th grade is all Utah history. So it is all, and Utah is what it is because of 1849, the gold
Oh,
rush,
love it.
or 1847, excuse me, the gold rush, and people moving and people migrating west.
A little bit
and
of
the whole,
meningitis thrown in
Right.
there.
and the
you
Donner
know.
Party. We
There was a
watched,
big meningitis rush
Yeah.
back east.
yeah, we
that's
watched
why
a whole
come
documentary in
out
my
here.
class.
Oh, really? To get away?
Part of the reason why the Donner Reeds left was meningitis. Yeah, but anyways, you can.
Yeah,
If you
so
want,
the
I'll give you
illnesses-
his phone number, and you can call him and say, I want to go through it. He won't
He
try
loves
any of your
to talk.
wine. because-
Wait, is it by appointment to go through that museum?
Sure. Hey, Craig, what are you doing? You want to go to the museum?
He's
And
probably
he'll
saying
meet
there's
you
no
over
one.
No, I mean,
that's
it
not
doesn't have like regular hours. You can just walk in and
No,
say,
no, it's
Oh.
it's a
volunteer.
it's old man, and if his buddies show up, you might be able to throw axes or watch a guy nap a arrowhead, or
Oh,
depends
my
on what
gosh.
old man's available. It's all old man around it.
See, that's something I would have taken my 4th grade class to in a heartbeat.
Seriously, you want to take him down there, you call the
I
old man.
don't teach anymore, but
Oh, you don't?
I would have in a heartbeat.
Yeah, my dad, he'll call me and say, I'm open, if you got anyone that wants to come down,
Oh.
send them my way. And he's got a guy that comes from Denmark, every year, comes out and visits.
That's so cool.
You know, the guy came out, he's an engineer from Denmark, comes out to Chicago, or worked in Chicago, kind of caught wind of it, grew an interest, and every year he comes out, and that's like his vacation, is to learn more about the Donner Reed party.
It's so
that's cool.
cool. That's amazing. There was a really cool, and I wish I remembered, but there's a documentary, kind of a Ken Burns type series on the Donner Party that was fascinating. I watched it.
Yeah, they've got pieces of their wagons in there, and
Really.
But we don't want to associate the Donner cannibalism with the wine, though.
I don't
Do you guys want more
know.
sourdough? I'll cut more sourdough. Do you guys want more sourdough?
I am very, very satisfied.
The sourdough is
Thank
very
you.
good. So
Thanks.
tonight we've had Utah blended wine, Tooele blended wine, and Tooele sourdough.
Erda sourdough.
Erda sourdough and Tooele Tad blended wine.
And we
The
could have
wine
had
yet to
Tooele
come.
chocolate.
Well, don't get too excited yet. It's
Well-
not November.
I think we'll have to get together again for
Some
sure.
Christmas chocolate.
I think this, well, right now you've got 3 blends, 2 that are out and 1 you'll be putting out, right?
Yeah, and there's By the way, the reason why I didn't open this one is there's only, I think, 7
Bottles
bottles of this left for sale.
Okay.
We're
So
Now-
everyone
we're
is
doing
now
one and
precious. And
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. So,
what's that?
I said we're doing one and done, so like we won't ever make this layer again,
yeah.
or the
So,
Petite Syrah.
so, and
Put something
each
similar.
label is different. So you've got to go through the joy of dealing with your betters back east or wherever they are.
Mhm.
Each time you make a new label, it's not like your label is you've got an outline and then you just pop a picture of a statue or a person on it.
Right.
This label,
It's
these two
unique.
labels,
Everyone is very
and not just the
unique.
front. The backs are unique as well.
Yeah.
So you got to build each one each time.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have like a template. I'm just
Oh, boy.
reproducing.
Well, because the wines are
That's
unique.
not a bad idea.
too.
though.
Yeah.
But then you lose, the creative aspect of it all, and that's a
It's
big
an art.
part of it. It's an outlet, it's a creative outlet. So
All right. Well, we'll close down the show for now. Again, everyone, it's Mannebach. So it's Mannebach. Cellars on Facebook. If you want a bottle of Slayer, they got 7 left. You better run for it. I think I might run for it. And but you get a hold of them on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Get a hold of them.
we're working on a website.
Okay.
It's
Set up-
close.
Set up a schedule. Keep your eye out. Go down. Grab a bottle. This is stuff made in Tooele. So even if you're not a wine drinker, I think this would be a good little bit of
Gift.
a little bit of Tooele to hold on to as well.
Buy local and you will not regret this one.
Yeah.
This is
It's a good one.
I'm actually impressed. I wasn't expecting it to be this good. I'll be honest.
And if people buy this, they can
Thanks.
send it to family as gifts. Like they can ship it
Oh, yeah.
to a family member
yeah.
for Christmas as a gift and say, "This was home.
Or you-
I mean, this was from our hometown."
Yeah.
Just call it olive oil. Though. I don't think you can actually ship alcohol if
Personally.
I don't know. UPS doesn't ask any questions. But anyways, I think they ask if it's explosive, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's all they're worried about. I mean,
But this is a good. I like it, and I'm not a wine drinker, and I enjoyed it, and I know that wine can be, I don't know, hard to get into your first time out. And I enjoyed it. I asked for more. But yeah,
the Greeks loved it.
The
While
Greeks
they were,
loved
they
it.
were walking the agora.
yes,
as you
they
do agoraism,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, and Rome had the agora in the beginning as well. Probably stolen from the Greeks.
Well, yeah.
So
everything
did the Philistines and the Carthaginians. They all had the agora, and that is the place you went to sell without, the government.
interruptions.
It's the marketplace.
Yeah, it's the marketplace. It's freedom, and that's what we're all about. And thank you for going through the hardship of putting this out.
Yeah. No, seriously, this is an achievement. This
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah, maybe you'll light a fire under Dave, and we can have some sellable chocolate. Maybe you can.
Look
Yeah,
for it in
dude.
November. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll Facebook a batch in November.
Yeah, but this is great. Thank you very much. Again, look in the show notes. It'll be in there if you can't hear us good enough or whatever. But grab a bottle of wine. The Slayer.
They better
is-
hear this.
Yeah.
Slayer's gonna do all that without.
You're gonna buy them all.
The Slayer's gonna be gone. There's only 7 bottles left.
And then there's only 10 cases of Petite Syrah left.
10 cases of Petite
A
Syrah.
little bit more, but
Close.
Well, I'm glad.
just
I'm
buy
glad
it.
it's selling.
Just buy it.
And then the Judge. That'll be coming out soon. Coming to
Judge Barbera.
a warehouse on Tad near you. So thanks for joining us, and we will we'll close down now and see you next week.
Keep Tooele great.
Yes.